This is the Shaver Prep Football Podcast, episode 27, season 2, presented by Aquarius Home Services and brought to you by TrueStone Financial, 612 Quarterbacks, Pizza Barn, and powered by 10K Construction. The Minnesota Prep High School football season kicks off Thursday, August 28th, with 95 games played across the state. And then Friday, they come back with 74 more games as we close out week 1 of the high school football season. Our Talk North Games of the Week on Thursday night, August 28th, Rogers at Moorhead. Both teams begin their Class 6A schedule, moving up from 5A. And our Game of the Week on Friday night is State 4A champion Becker at Orono, a great early matchup in Class 4A. I did a coach's preseason poll for Talk North asking which are the best teams in each class. And here are the results. In Class 6A, Maple Grove, the defending champion, was the choice, followed by Shakopee. In 5A, yes, the defending champion Elk River, but some coaches think Chanhassen is going to be a team to watch. In Class 4A, Totino Grace and Becker actually tied for the votes. In 3A, Waseca and Dassel Cokato actually tied with votes. In Class 2A, the overwhelming choice, Jackson County Central, the defending champion. In 1A, it was clear cut. Minneota is the team to beat in Class 1A. And in 9-player, Kingsland gets the nod in a very close vote. And Kingsland's speedster, Khaleem Ryland, received the most votes as the player to watch in 9-player football. And I talked with him about his football future and his difficult past. So some big news in July from southeastern Minnesota when senior Kaaleem Reiland of Kingsland announced that he's going to play college football for UMD next year. And Khaleem joins me now. Thanks for doing this. I appreciate it. Big news because you had a great season last year. You're a well-known commodity down in southeastern Minnesota playing quarterback at Kingsland. But I think in college, I think I read, you're going to be a running back. That's where you're going to play. Tell me a little bit about the decision to go to UMD and just how excited you are to take your football to the next level.
Yeah, there was a lot of other options I had, a lot of other schools, and our team, Kingsland, we've been up to Duluth a lot of times for team camps.
Sure.
Me and my family went up there for a couple games, and each time being there, the coaching staff has just shown me a lot of love, really appreciated me, and my family loved it too. And when we got there for the visit, it felt right. Everything felt right. All the puzzles to the pieces were there. There wasn't any missing pieces or anything, and it just felt 100% like home. And so I committed, and I'm excited for the future.
So you're 5'8",
5'8",
170, 175. It's kind
5'8", 190.
190. Okay, so you put on some pounds over the summertime. But speed is your game, right? I mean, I watched some video of you play, and I mean, you're just lightning fast. I'm sure that's what gets them excited to see a guy with your speed come play there.
Me and the running back coach we have a really good connection too, so we talk a lot. We talk on the phone all the time. And, he said that he knows that, like, if I needed to open field and I needed to make a man miss, like, I can easily do that. But, one thing that he said he really loved about me is, if there's one guy in front of me and I need a first down, that, I'm not going to try to make a move or anything. I'm going to just run him over, So he said he loves the physicality out of me. And, that's one thing I kind of take pride in, especially in the weight room and everything. And, I'm always trying to just do what's best for my team. And, I just really appreciate that he notices my physicality for sure.
When I was reading about you, if people don't know your story, there's a lot of layers to it.
For sure.
Talk a little bit about you and your siblings were adopted by a family in Spring Valley. Kind of take us back to how old you were at that time, what the circumstances were. And then, I mean, obviously this thing has been such a blessing for you and
for sure.
And your siblings. Talk a little bit about that.
So before coming to Spring Valley area, me and my siblings bounced around a lot, like Wyoming, Oklahoma, but kind of like our main location was like in between like Stacy, Wyoming, Forest Lake, and North Branch. I don't know if you're too familiar with that area. It's all kind of like just straight, everything's all kind of straight. And, we were bouncing around from there. And then we were at this respite home in North Branch. And North Branch is, I would say, it's kind of a bigger area, bigger than Spring Valley, bigger than Spring Valley.
Sure, for sure.
So, and then the family that we lived with then was going out of the country, sorry, for a vacation. And we couldn't go up and we couldn't do that. So we were coming on this respite and, being in like kind of like a bigger area, kind of like a bigger city. And then, you're driving and, you stop kind of seeing city and you see a lot of cornfields and beans and stuff. You really start to think like, where am I at? Like I'm in the middle of nowhere, So it was a big change. It was a big adaptment to go from like a big city to kind of like a small town where everybody knows everybody. But yeah, me and my siblings, we always stuck together when we were younger. Because that's all we kind of had. Chantel. I like to call her like the mom of us three.
Okay.
And, you got KD, he's just the young guy, just the young buck. And, me, I'm the middle between us two. So, we all kind of stuck together and stuck it out. And then in 2019, we were blessed to be adopted by Holly and Dan Ryland. And, ever since then, it's just, I just thank God, being able to be in that position that we are and, having them, support me and my siblings and, just being the best parents that there is.
Can I ask what your parents, what your situation was that you were bouncing from place to place? What was going on in your life at that point?
Yeah. So my biological father, he was a alcoholic abuser.
Okay.
He was in and out of jail a lot and, really abused alcohol. And my biological mother, she was a drug abuser. So, they weren't really stable. So we didn't really have a stable home. And, we were kind of just, bouncing around from there. We weren't there. We couldn't depend on them, so me and my siblings just really had to depend on each other.
Yeah. Well, obviously you found your way, your way to Spring Valley and you found football and
yeah.
It sounds to me like football was an escape for you. It's become the place where you feel maybe the most comfortable. In a lot of ways.
Sure.
Tell me about that.
And the craziest thing was like when I was younger, like when in 2019 around that area, like I was a basketball player, like
5'7", 5'6".
Yeah, like me, like I was playing with some of one of the best teams, like the Minnesota Spartans. Wow. I played with guys like Jaden Moore, Xavier, big time names. And it was like me, if you look at me now, I'm not like I play basketball, but I'm not good. I'm kind of just out there to, have a little fun. But and then so I was a basketball player and I didn't like lose the love for the game, but something just clicked in me one day that I'm a football player. Like that's what it is. And, being younger, it was for sure an escape, being able to go out there on the field, run. And, it's kind of a sport where, you can hit people for free and not get in trouble besides boxing, at least, in a football manner.
Right.
But so that's always fun, just lowering the pads, hearing the pads hit. And, as I got older and playing with like the older guys, coming out on those Friday nights and you're playing a very good team and you're a good team and the crowd's there, the whole town's there, you're getting goosebumps coming out the tunnel. I mean, there's not a better feeling than that ever, so it's like, that's always just exciting and, it just makes you just look forward to Friday nights.
Hey, Khaleem, thanks for doing this. I appreciate it so much.
Yeah, I really appreciated it.
Wish you nothing but good luck, not only for your senior season at Kingsland, but also at UMD next year. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Have a good day.
Thanks. I'm what you would call the summer procrastinator. There's a lot of us out there. We wait on repairs, hoping they'll fix themselves. And of course, there's no chance of that. Aquarius Home Services can help you with that fix-it list with $98 off any electrical or plumbing repair. Don't let the procrastinator in you ruin what's left of your summer. Schedule today at AquariusHomeservices.com. Aquarius, local, trusted, family-owned, and earning the right to be recommended. Former Vikings quarterback Sean Salisbury joins me now. Great to see you. Now a drive time host, I believe, radio host in Houston. You're working.
Yeah, great to see you. My man, it feels like you're aging the way you look like you're about 20, my man, and what a story, your inspiration. It's even though we've been apart for a long time,
yeah.
I sure obviously pay attention and follow you, and I'm honored to be on with you. And it's been way too long, brother.
Yeah.
So thank you for having me on. Yeah, host Morning Drive on iHeart here and do a national show on Rumble called Unpaved. So it kind of covers everything. So I'm blessed and, trying to get my golf game right. That's where I'm really working on.
There you go.
There
you go. Well, for those that don't know, Sean played for the Vikings from 92 to 94. I covered Sean when he was here. Denny Green's first year as head football coach in 92. You guys win the division. You go 11-5. What do you remember the most from that first year here as a Viking?
And all the time I spent there, first off, I loved playing in that facility. I don't get a chance to play in the new one, but I still love, I like old ballparks like Fenway Park, and I love old, Wrigley Field. And I liked where we played because it felt like such an advantage. But, the thing I remember most is, first of all, Randy, I've been on, played for a lot of teams, and the camaraderie on the team. I know you hear that a lot, but it didn't matter. I was actually talking about that this morning. We're talking about training camp getting started.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Mack, when he came in, Jim McMahon, Jim loved training camp because Jim just did it his own way. And he made it fun. And I loved training camp as well. So those memories, but just as a team, I tell people all the time, we had great quarterbacks. I wasn't one of them. I was fortunate to play 10 years in the league, but that's probably the reason why we did win the Super Bowl is me. Now, in truth, when you think about, I tell people, they say, what you guys did? And when you talk about Randall McDaniel and Gary Zimmerman and Chris Carter and Jake Reed, Scott Studwell, Carl Lee, John Randall, Chris Dolman, Keith Millard, Hank Thomas, there's like 6 Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
And I think Henry Thomas is a legitimate threat. I mean, Hank was one of the real great interior players. So the talent, probably a thing that we were really good, really talented. And the fact that in truth, we probably should have a ring on our finger, but I'm sure plenty of Vikings teams have said that. But I was honored to play and well coached, not only by Denny and Bernsey, but the players and the laughs and, missing guys like Wade Wilson, God rest his soul, and watching Rich go on Gannon to have an MVP season. I take great pride in knowing the teammates were far better than me, but also great people, and I miss it.
Well, tell me a little bit about your NFL experience as a whole. As you look back now, all these years later, how would you summarize your NFL?
I think that's a great pontificating question for me. When I was in college, when I came out as a tie, and I don't mean this as a pat on the back, but it'll kind of give you an idea how I felt about it. Mel Kiper and their guide, when you're reading their guide, you're in college, you're reading it because Mel is the standard bearer, right? The gold standard. And for a long, they had me as a first round pick, right? And I shredded my knee twice at USC. And when I left, it was, I'm still healing. I didn't get drafted. And so that hit first. And it was the first time in my life I'd faced major adversity. You go through in high school, and I don't mean it, you're better than most people, and you go to college. And it's the first time it hit me like, I'm not the star. What am I going to do? Right. And I rehabbed my butt off, came back. Then it happened again. And I'm like, same knee, different injury, but shredded. And I think, okay, now what am I going to do? And that was the first time doubt crept into my, what's next?
Yeah.
And then fortunately making a team and playing 10 years and then in playing my career, I'd say that I went from high expectation, thought I was going to win Super Bowls and be the MVP of the league, to then I'm probably more proud now of the survivor part of hitting adversity, getting punched in the mouth, and not knowing. I was raised in such a great family, and my parents, I come from a blue collar family. They worked their butt off. But I learned about adversity. My parents taught me, but I never really faced it, right?
Yeah.
Until then. And so I didn't know if I was prepared for it. Like, oh man, this is the first time. Now was everybody better? Now the competition, what is the equalizer? I'm a 6'5", 230-pound quarterback. What is going on here? Well, I think I learned about myself more because I had to fight and scratch to make a team. And you no longer got the hall pass of being a first-round pick that it's automatic. And so there were no guarantees. So I'd say it turned out better than I would have imagined because of I learned it shaped the rest of my life. Then I was prepared to go through, hitting your rock bottom, which I did post-career, and to wondering what you were going to do. And I'm not sure I would have been as equipped had I not had those things hit. And adversity comes in different ways. So I know it's kind of a cheesy answer, but at the time I didn't think that. I was like, I should have been better. I think my career, I underachieved from what my expectations were when I left high school. But as I went on, as I go back and circle back around, it's like, you know what? Probably I needed the lesson of rock bottom. I needed the lesson of adversity. So I'm proud that I was a survivor when it comes to football. And it's perspective, because what you've gone through and what others go through, there's a big difference in my survivor and that survivor, as you well know. But I would say that I probably came up short on my expectations, but I exceeded my expectations on could I handle a punch to the face? And I'd say in the end, I'm grateful I went through it. But while you're going through it, Randy, I look at myself as I could have got more out of my football career in 10 years than I wish I would have.
Yeah. So for people that don't know, Sean was an outstanding high school quarterback in California, recruited by USC, UCLA, BYU, Stanford, Notre Dame, Cal, Arizona State. You kind of had your pick of where you wanted to go. You chose USC. How would you describe your high school career? What was Friday night like for Sean Salisbury?
That's such a fun question. I wish I could. Could push the clock where I was about 30 years younger, and I could have got NIL, because at that time, as the number one recruit quarterback from Southern California and a 3-sport athlete, it's like, damn, I'm starting to look at the money. I think that would parlay into a pretty good, more than I made as a rookie. My rookie year, I made $82,500. I'm thinking, I would have had to take a pay cut.
Wait a second. That was your rookie? That was your rookie?
$5,500 signing bonus.
Oh my God.
And you know what? For me, when I talk to guys that weren't like years before me, they're like, 82.5, dude, you were rich compared. They had to work in the off season. So
that's right.
I love the fact that, NFL wise, listen, we got a $60 million quarterback, and we're close. And you know this, Randy. In 2 years, we'll be talking. There'll be a $75 million a year quarterback.
Yeah,
it's coming.
Crazy.
I mean, it's crazy, but it's great. I don't get in anybody's wallet. Good on them. That's the way life is. I would say, Randy, when I did not play football till I got to high school. I learned how to read coverage playing 11 on 11. When I was in the 7th grade, my junior high coach, I'd moved to San Diego. My junior high physical education teacher said, we'd go out every day, and he saw me throw a football, and he said, oh, you're going to play football for me. I said, I don't play tackle. I was a baseball and basketball guy, and I got recruited from high school by the Michigan State and UCLA to play basketball and other schools to play baseball. They were my first offers for scholarships, was another sport.
Yeah.
So I played tackle football in the park with my buddies and loved it, but I never played Pop Warner. I didn't know how to put the hip pads in my freshman year. So I'm a 7th grader. I learned how to read coverage playing flag football, because you don't have to watch the pass rush. And you know how it is with young kids. Right. They get the ball, you put your best athlete there, and they're watching the pass rush. I learned how to read coverage because you're not going to get hit. So my head was always up. So that was an advantage. Yet I still wasn't going to go play high school football. Yeah. And so my dad and the athletic director in the high school, when I got there, the junior high coach told me, goes, the guy can throw. He's got to play. And he said, Sean, give it a chance. So my dad and the AD talked me into playing. The very first carry, I'm talking not the first game, the very first carry in a scrimmage my freshman year, I had a compound. My finger came off the ball. I got tackled. A guy tackled me, and another guy landed on top of me. I had a compound fracture in my middle finger. The bone popped out of the skin. This is not hyperbole at all, Randy. And I'm thinking to myself, freshman year, just got off 8th grade. I didn't really want to play anyway. I'm bigger than everybody, but it was just an odd injury. And I had an old military coach named Tom Bice. I mean, guy who shaved his head just to a burr haircut about every 3 days, but disciplined, and we needed it. Right. And I went to the huddle, and I was like in shock. And both my parents were working. There was no cell phones, and the school had the office on the hill above where we practiced. But they were going to stop practice to get a key to go in and call my parents. But they were at work, so I couldn't have got a hold of them unless I got them in a home phone where my mom, but they were both working. So I said, Coach, I think he said, get back in the huddle, Salisbury. I said, I think that's my bone. And he said, go put some ice on it. And it was a sandwich baggie, like you'd put a sandwich baggie that you'd put in your brown bag lunch to go to school, right? And I put it in ice, and I sat there for 2 hours. It was the first play of the scrimmage, remember now. Yeah. And I sat there, and nowadays people would sue all over the place and law. My dad, when he finally found out, he said, we got to get you. He goes, that's the coach. That's his job. Yeah, we wasn't mad, and I wasn't either. But so I sat there for 2 hours, and after practice, they walked me up to the office, opened the office door. I called my parents. They rushed over and got me, took me to the hospital, and the doctor said, about another 20 minutes and that infection would have said, I would have had to cut your middle finger off.
Oh, my gosh.
And right then and there, I said, well, I'm not interrupting my baseball and basketball career. I waited. I played the last 2 games my freshman year after I got the cast off it. I fell in love with it.
Yeah.
And I played all 3 sports. I loved my high school. Friday nights, I loved them even more than college and NFL. And they're more memorable still, where you go, we do it, then you'd go to pizza and you'd say, well, I'm going to find a girlfriend, and you're with your best buddies, and you'd be eating pizza with the team you just beat, your crosstown rival. High school memories, I tell kids all the time, I said, the business part of it's fun and get paid, but your biggest memories are going to come from your Friday night prep time. I loved it. I loved the next day my dad would read the article after a win. And I was still a baseball, basketball guy. And still to this day, football isn't my favorite sport, but I was fortunate. And then I said, man, I kind of like having the ball in my hand every time. So I chose football, but I still miss basketball. And I wish I would have, you think, man, what would it have been like? Because I went to school to play more than one, and then I shredded my knee twice. So the adversity of the finger wasn't the big a deal, because as a 16-year-old, you're like, I'll overcome this. And I did, and the rest is history, and turned into the #1 recruit in the country. Yet I'm thinking, I still want to play basketball and baseball. And that's how it kind of worked out. It's like when you go to school and you study something, we never seem to get a job with our major, right? You're doing something else. It was the same thing here. I played professionally on a sport that was my 3rd favorite sport at the time. But I loved my high school career, the memories, and I hope these kids don't get lost in all the translation of NIL and what's going on in transfer portals, and realize that competition and your teammates cherish and love it, because it's never the same once you leave there, even though it's still good.
All right. So I need an answer from you. Put your coach's hat on for a second. You've got a high school quarterback that you're working with. Young guys out there watching this podcast, what are the key things they should be thinking about and working on to be a better quarterback?
I love it. I train them. I train probably 30 of them here in Houston. I still train them because I like that part of the coaching, the hands-on trying. And I don't just take the 5-star elite player. I love some of my favorite guys I've trained. You'll get a kid in the 7th or 8th grade who's never played the position, and by the time he's a senior in high school, he's starting and getting fielded and getting recruited. And it's not because of me. It's you lead them to water, and then they put the time in. And make it happen. So I still train them. So this is a valid question for me, because I think about it every day. So much to tell them. And I try to stay away from, everybody and parents think everybody thinks their kid's Peyton Manning or Arch Manning, and I get it. And that's okay, because you want to give them encouragement. But I try to, number one, tell their parents, one is Division I football is not the only football. There's great football at other levels. You don't just have to play that. Not to dim their hopes, but there's still great football. They will find you. 2 is, I always want to know, does the kid love it? When they come to me to privately train them, I don't like the parents. Yes, I want to know if the kid loves it. If he loves it, then we got something to work with, no matter what his skill set is. But as far as what I would tell them now, whether you're getting recruited or not, stop and take inventory about, because there's most of them are going to leave high school and never play again.
That's right.
They're never going to play again, the percentages. Now, for the ones that are, the guys who are going to get a chance to play, when it comes to just the football stuff, I always tell them one thing: make the simple play. We're at a time when off-schedule Patrick Mahomes behind our back, but that's not sustainable. I say, make me the simple play, which means, which some of us mere mortals couldn't do, the Warren Moons could, and the Drew Breeses, is make the simple play. Everything doesn't have to be a home run. Hit Tony Gwynn singles, even though most of them don't know who Tony Gwynn is because they're 16, is make the simple play, and the rest will take care of itself. Right. And I also tell them that, do you make your teammates better? If you don't, then that's where we got to start. All the hype and pomp and circumstance of the recruiting, take a deep breath and enjoy it, because we all get caught up in it, but you don't want to forget how precious it was. And I give them this on recruiting. Please don't go on Twitter and say, I'd like to thank for the 50th Division I offer, because the right guard who blocks for you probably doesn't have 50. You can thank them for the offer, but you don't need to rub it. I'm cognizant of the of your teammates, right? So I guess there's a lot of them, but the number one thing is, don't forget mechanics. That the mechanics sustain Brady, that when the pressure's at its highest, what kind of teammate and player are you? Now, I couldn't do it consistently, you watch Brady, we watch Mahomes, you watch these great players. They seem to, the blood pressure goes down when the temperature of the game goes up. Now, that may be DNA, and I don't know if you can learn it, but for me, it's sustained mechanics and do you elevate the room, meaning in the building? Because there's a lot of guys who can throw it hard, Randy, that can throw it through a car wash and not get it wet. But there's also guys that can't hit the car wash. Give me the guy who can hit the car wash and we'll win more games. Be a quarterback, not a thrower.
I appreciate your time. Thanks
Love you, my man.
This.
I'm honored to be on anytime you need me. Keep up the good work and go dominate it, brother. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Sean. This episode is brought to you by 612 Quarterbacks, Minnesota's premier quarterback development program. At 612 Qs, they're committed to creating a high-quality quarterback development program, both affordable and accessible. Their training goes beyond the basics, not only focusing on proper throwing mechanics and footwork, but also building strong football IQ, leadership, and resilience. Their mission is to educate, inspire, and challenge athletes to raise their standards on the field and in life. Through training and mentorship, they're building more than quarterbacks. They're building a community rooted in growth, accountability, and shared success. Learn more today at 612quarterbacks.com. Well, Minneota holds the longest current winning streak in the state of Minnesota heading into the start of the regular season. For them, it's Friday night, August 29th, against Minnesota Valley Lutheran. 33 consecutive wins by my count. And Chad Johnston joins me, head coach at Minneota. Do you embrace the streak or do you ignore the streak? That's the question.
We really, to be honest with you, we don't talk about it much. We did have the streak a few years back. I think we were up to 38 or something like that at one point in time. And, I think there's a little more talk about it back then, probably because it's the first time we were in that position. But, we do talk about pressure in our program to excel and the expectations to be, successful and competitive every year. And we just kind of always tell our kids, you maybe didn't put yourself here, but embrace it because it means we're doing things right. I mean, if we're in a situation, it just means we're doing things right. So yeah, there comes a little bit of pressure, but I think our kids handle it really well.
So just for the record, the last time Minneota lost a football game, it was the last night of the regular season in 2022. Dawson Boyd beat them. Then you go on to win the state title. In fact, you've won 3 in a row. All against Springfield, if I'm not mistaken. What's the deal? Why? It's like you can't shake them. They're there every year.
What a great program. I mean,
Yes,
I'm sure
really.
they're thinking the opposite. How come we have to go against Minneota every year?
Right.
And there was a little discussion for a while in our program with the realignment of sections this year. We were like, we're going to be right on the border. Do all of a sudden we get kicked down and we're sitting in the same section as Springfield?
Oh my God, that'd be crazy.
We've had both the last couple of years, and they've been very, very good also. But yeah, great program. I mean, we're honored to have to be able to play them year in and year out. And we're just successful to have been very fortunate to come on the upper end of those matchups.
Chad, there are so many football programs that want to be where you are. How did you get here? What's the short answer to the secret for success for Minneota?
I don't know if you ever have a short answer. The tradition was here when I got here. Yep. Obviously, in the mid to late 80s, they had a great run, and the tradition is here, and the community support is here. I like to think that one of the things that we are doing right and has helped our success is, you build relationships with kids that you need to, but in the same right, we hold our kids accountable. We have high expectations. We're going to hold kids accountable. And I think that is, our kids understand it now and they hold themselves accountable for everything. And I think that's just something that has led to the success year in and year out is upperclassmen are holding underclassmen accountable. And that goes all the way down into our junior high and our elementary programs. There's high expectations, and our kids hold themselves to that.
You've had such great players pass through Minneota, but man, Ryan Maher is tremendous. How do you even think about replacing a Ryan Maher who did so much for you guys?
It's hard to replace a kid like that.
Yeah.
Obviously everyone sees what he did on the field and what he's done on the field is remarkable, but just the kid off the field, such a humble kid, very soft-spoken, doesn't man of very few words, has been driven. I mean, he does things outside of the athletic field that just a lot of younger kids aren't doing. But, again, you don't replace that. Obviously, our objective is to do what we've been doing. I mean, we continue to do the things before Ryan Maher. We're going to have to continue to do things after Ryan Maher. And we've got young kids they're willing to step up. I think we've got a very good senior class this year that just kind of got hidden by a great senior class last year. They're going to get their chance, and I think they're ready for that.
So give me two names that we should be watching for, two players we should be watching for this year from Minneota.
Well, I think Kellen Bradley is going to be a name you'll hear a lot. He's been starting at linebacker for us the last couple of years. Ended up beating out his older brother as our leading tackler last year. He'll also be the one that's going to replace Ryan Maher quite a bit at that running spot position. So I think you'll hear his name a lot. And then one of those people that you probably, the name might not get mentioned a lot just because of his position. Kyson Arndt is a kid in our program who plays defensive end and right tackle, who's been getting a lot of attention from schools. I mean, he's a 6'4", 6'5", 230-pound kid right now with a great frame. We need him to step up a lot for us, and he's the one that's going to really have to anchor our defensive line, and I think you'll hear his name quite a bit too.
So when you win 3 straight state championships, how do you define what your success is? What is success for Minneota football? Is it the state championships, or is it something else?
Well, obviously most people are going to kind of define success as winning those championships and being there every year. And to me, I've always kind of said success for me is, one, what we're doing with our athletes, what they're doing in the classroom, what they're doing in the community. I think, again, we feel like we're doing that right also.
Right.
But I always said, Class A football, it's, I have a lot of respect for a lot of the programs out there that are good year in and year out. I know some of them are now starting to bounce between Class A and Double A and everything else. But, like a team like Monoman, the fact to me that we're competitive every year, and we're in the running every year. I mean, you can't hold us out of the equation. I think that's something that I kind of account as success, is that we're there every year. We haven't had a small class that is taken out of the running. We figure out how to fill out and how younger kids step up. And to me, that's the success, is just being competitive every year.
I've often heard my friend Dwight Lundeen at Becker talk about his coaching philosophy. And it's not about the scoreboard. When it comes to Dwight, it's about his purpose as a coach. What would you say your purpose is as a coach?
Well, I think my purpose is to guide young men. I think most of us get into coaching that way to hopefully make these young men people that are going to be successful in society, and they're going to be productive in society, and they're going to be good husbands. They're going to be good fathers. And, I think that's what drew me to coaching in the first place, having, coaches that I felt guided me.
Yep.
We all get into coaching hoping you might get a state championship and hoping those things are all going to happen and dreaming in those things. But I think realistically, I got into coaching because I want to have a positive influence on kids. And I think if you do things right, the success, again, is defined different ways. But I think that just kind of, it fills in.
I appreciate you doing this. Good luck to you on Friday night, August 29th, as you begin the run for a possible 4th consecutive state Class A championship. Should be fun to watch.
It should be a wonderful season for us. Thanks a lot, Randy. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Chad.
Yep.
10K Construction is your one stop for all your general contracting needs, whether interior, exterior, residential, commercial, or multifamily properties. They build relationships with their clients, and that's how they've grown their business, through referrals. Plus, they are teaming up with LP SmartSide to become Minnesota's premier siding installer. And they're also partnering with IKO Shingles as well. They've got the best of the best to do the job right. 10K Construction covers both Minnesota and Wisconsin. Now, the rumor is they charge a little extra because it's Packer land. I'm not sure about that, but what I am sure about, 10K Construction is the company you want handling all of your general contracting needs. Go to 10kconstruction.com for details. We're going to spend a few minutes talking about the MFCA's Tackle Cancer program, which is heading into year 14 here in Minnesota, which is hard to believe. Dave Nelson is here. He's the man that started it all. You counting on your fingers? It is 14, yes. And Mike Schmidt is the head football coach at Randolph, and we'll talk about Randolph's involvement in TC in just a minute. Thanks for being here, you guys. I appreciate it. Dave, I know 2012 was your first year. Doesn't even seem possible that we are there. Raised over $4.1 million in that time for cancer research and patient aid in Minnesota. Just give me an overview as you head into this year of just how this thing has just taken off and been such a big deal in Minnesota football.
Yeah, Randy, I remember the conversation I had with you in 2012 about this idea that the MFCA had, and didn't really know where it was going to go. And the first year we raised $121,000, and we were just ecstatic.
Yeah.
We surprised your wife, who thought if we made $500, $5,000, she'd be over the moon. Yeah, right. So just overwhelmed with all the communities and football programs in Minnesota who have gotten behind it. And obviously, your name and your love for high school football helps, and your foundation is so well run that it's just an easy relationship for us. And,
we should point out that last year you guys set a new record, I think 635,000, something like that. I shudder to ask what you're thinking about for a goal this year.
Well, it keeps going up.
I know, and that's what scares me, but go ahead.
I think we set it at 700,000, if I'm not mistaken. Either that or 675, but it's more than we made last year.
Yeah.
So
that's amazing.
It is. And we're always looking for ways to improve it and to make more money for your foundation. So it's just been an awesome, and personally for me, Randy, it's been one of the coolest things that I've been involved with in my career. It's been great.
If you want to look for a way to raise more money, let's look over here, because this school, Randolph High School, jumped on board 3 years ago for TC.
Yeah.
Mike, it's been amazing what your community, a town of 500 people, have done. I think last year, $70,000.
Correct, yeah.
Just in 1 year. Talk a little bit about just the culture of what tackle cancer means in your community. And I know Katie Esser is a big part of that.
Right.
She's spearheaded your efforts, but just kind of talk about what it means in your community.
Yeah. I mean, I think the big thing, like you said, Katie Esser kind of spearheading it and being the kind of the face of it and organizing it. And we actually met as a committee yesterday to talk about, our game this year and some different ideas we have. But one thing, this be my 15th year in Randolph coming up here. And, one thing I've learned over 15 years is this community, when they go all in, they truly go all in. And before Tackle Cancer, we were doing something similar, through our volleyball program, and we were #1 in the nation for that. So, and this isn't to sound arrogant, but it doesn't surprise me we've had the success we've had, because like I said, this community, once, we set a goal for something or we have a vision, they buy in fully to it.
It's the community buy-in, I think, is what transformed your idea into something that has just taken off.
Now, Mike, is it true that there's flamingo insurance in Randolph?
Well, so they do the flock of flamingos. So your yard gets flamingo, and you got to pay to get them out of your yard. So that goes towards it as well. So that's what I talk about. The committee Katie has and the ideas they come up with, and it's we did a dunk tank last year for teachers to get dunked, and that made $1,500 alone. So it's just the creativity and just the continued buy-in is just, it's
and that's what makes it fun, right? That's kind of what you're hoping, that this isn't just about dropping money in a bucket. Can it be more than that? Because that gets the community involved, that gets the players excited. And as you and I've talked about before, one of the things that you wanted to come from this is teaching those young people to do something bigger than yourself. And this truly is that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really important that they learn that. And I think it makes each Tackle Cancer Night special that the players are involved and that they're an integral part of it. And, the other thing, Randy, that it's done for me personally, I wouldn't have known Coach Schmidt if it wasn't for Tackle Cancer.
Yeah.
And we're friends now, and I've gotten to know so many high school football coaches in Minnesota just through this. We have 16 reps that I work with, and all the schools that participate. You just get that bond with them. So personally, that's been a really, really cool deal.
So if there's a community, a football program that has not gotten involved in tackle cancer, how can they do that?
Well, contact me. All the information's on our website, MFCA website, under Tackle Cancer. We have a lot of ideas. We'll help however we can. And my advice to coaches is you don't have to put this on your plate. You've mentioned many times that everybody's touched by cancer. Every community is touched by cancer. Right. Find some people that are passionate about it, because there are going to be in every community, right, and get them headed in the right direction. Head coaches, you don't have to add this to your plate. Just support it. Yeah. And let the committee do the work. And, that's a ticket. And I think that holds some coaches back, because they think it's another thing they got to do. And it really isn't. Yeah. It really isn't.
And thank you, Mike, for being here. Thanks, Dave, very much.
Thanks for having me.
Again, if you want to get involved, contact Dave on the MFCA website. Got all the information there. We'll be right back. When I ask friends and family what they want out of a financial institution, the word trust always comes up. That's when I tell them about my friends over at TrueStone Financial. They're a not-for-profit credit union owned by the very people they serve. Trust isn't just in their name, it's part of everything they do, from checking accounts to home equity loans to mortgages. When you visit TrueStone, you're visiting with your neighbors, straightforward people who are definitely interested about your financial well-being. You can get a checking account anywhere, but if you want exceptional financial expertise, visit TrueStone Financial. Start your experience at TrueStone.org. TrueStone is an equal housing opportunity lender. The Shaver Prep Football Podcast drops every Monday, and you can catch us on YouTube and where podcasts can be found. My thanks to producer Alex Haugen and the great folks here at Talk North. High school football is underway this week, and we'll have a recap on Monday. Thanks for watching and listening, and we'll see you next week.